You're okay. Jan, you're at the top left of my screen, so if you wouldn't mind just to introduce yourself, and we'll just go around clockwise.
Hi, Jan Mazeski, Burgess in the borough of Naugatuck.
Great. Jack, you want to go next?
Jack Walsh, Derby and co-chair of the committee.
Great. Carrie?
Hi, I'm Carrie. I'm the new Park and Rec Director in Harwinton.
Great. Adrian?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Adrian Huck, and I'm a Sustainable Connecticut Fellow with NVCOG this summer.
Josh?
Hi, everyone. Josh Iannotti with VHB, here to give a little overview on the routing study in Ansonia.
Great. Vincent?
Hi, I'm Vince Seifert. I'm a private practicing engineer, volunteer for the Naugatuck section of the Greenway.
Mark?
Mark Nielsen, NVCOG.
Mark Jewell?
Mark Jewell, also with VHB, senior planner, here to answer any questions you have on the routing study for Ansonia.
Terrific. Anne?
Hi, everyone. Anna Bergeron, DOT Planning.
Great. Rich?
Good morning, Rich Donovan with the NVCOG.
Okay. And I have to admit, Mr. Bunovich, I don't have your first name, but if you would just unmute yourself and introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Yes, hi, Paul Benevich, Watertown Town Engineer.
Great, thanks. And we've got one more participant who's not identified by name. 410-707-4952. I'm gonna guess might be someone in the VHB team. But anyway, we will move from there to item 2. Which is the endorsement of the phenomenal, the exceptional, the potentially award-winning trail design and management guide that Aaron has developed. Basically, the current version incorporates some suggested changes, very minor, from various members of the committee, and is essentially now ready for endorsement. So we'll do this in the formal way. If anyone wants to make a motion to adopt it, to endorse it, that would be great.
So moved.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Great. All in favor from the committee?
Aye.
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 We have now endorsed the document. Thanks to everyone.
Wait a minute, you gotta make sure if people had a chance to vote no or abstain.
That's true. If we're really, is anyone interested in voting no or an abstention? So moved. We've got an endorsed plan. Great. With that, I'm going to transition to the representatives from VHB. Josh, if you can set your screen to share, then we can have your presentation.
All right, thank you. It looks like I cannot share my screen while someone else is sharing.
I'm going to turn mine off. Hold on. Let me see how to do that. Hopefully. Okay.
All right.
So I've
thank
stopped
you.
and you can share yours. Perfect.
Excellent, thank you. Can everyone see this okay?
No.
All right, so thank you all for the opportunity to walk through what we've been looking at for the routing study in Ansonia. Mark and I have been working on this with the city for quite a while now, and we had an opportunity to share what we've identified as a few alignments with Mark Nielsen and Aaron a couple of weeks ago, and we were excited to bring this to the committee and get your thoughts and answer any questions that you have. So I'd like to start with just a quick overview of the study area. I know you're all very familiar with this area, but right down here at the intersection of Clifton Avenue and Pershing Drive is where the existing trail ended, the last project ended. So we're looking at a future alignment to make a connection from that existing trail up to the municipal border with Seymour. And as part of that effort, we met with First Selectwoman Dragonis in Seymour a couple months ago to get her thoughts on, west versus east side of the river. We were kind of hoping that they'd have a routing study through the Rec Trails program. So we've been coordinating with Seymour as well as, of course, the city of Ansonia. And so with that, I'd like to share what we've got. So these are, I'm going to kind of pan through a series of maps here. This is where that existing trail comes out to Pershing Drive. This is that bridge that was recently constructed over the rail line. So what we've identified at this point is an on-road connection from the terminus of that existing trail, continuing north along Pershing Drive, crossing Bridge Street, and then staying, we're looking at an off-road multi-use path alongside Olson Drive, potentially a pocket park right on the corner of Pershing Drive and Bridge Street, and maintaining that contact with the Naugatuck River along Olson Drive. This is kind of the only alignment that we've identified through here. Now, the city is looking at connections, other grant opportunities to make a connection to Main Street. There's an existing connection as part of that loop connection on the eastern side of the river that comes up and crosses Bridge Street. So the city is focused on connecting the trail with Main Street as much as possible. But this is really the only alignment that we're looking at through this area right now. Kind of feels a bit like a no-brainer. It's beautiful if you walk through here. So we're staying alongside Olson Drive, continuing north. And then this is where we start to look at a few different alternatives. So I'm going to focus on the east side of the river first, and then we'll come back and look at the west side of the river. So once we get to the Maple Street Bridge, we wanted to look at both opportunities. So our options on the east side with Ansonia Copper and Brass and the existing rail line are fairly limited. So what we've looked at, sorry, I'm kind of skipping around here. What we've looked at is crossing Bridge Street. Hang on, I apologize. Here we go. What we've looked at is crossing the Maple Street Bridge and maintaining an on-road connection along Main Street that continues north into Seymour. And this is undesirable for a variety of reasons, right? Number one, it kind of deviates from the river, doesn't maintain that close proximity, and it's an on-road connection. So the goals of our study, we want to maintain contact with the river. We want to provide the best use for our trail users, the best experience for them. Obviously, a feasible and constructible connection with Seymour is important. So these are all factors that we're weighing as part of our study. But we did want to leave an option on the eastern side of the river, especially for that coordination with Seymour. So this continues along State Highway 115, which is Main Street, up to the municipal border with Seymour, and that would be an on-road connection. Now, jumping back, sorry for all the clicks here, to the western side of the river, we have a few options here as well. So one of the options that we've looked at is once you cross the Maple Street Bridge, we looked at two options. There's an existing park here on the corner, and we looked at potentially, which would involve property impacts, but we looked at potentially staying close to the river, which through this area, if anybody's familiar with Riverside Drive, it's very narrow. We have big concrete flood control walls. So this, although horizontally it's close to the river, it doesn't maintain that that proximity to the river because you're inside a concrete flood wall. So what Mark and I looked at the few times that we were out there is the first opportunity to jump up onto that levee so we can, connect the trail with the river, reconnect the trail with the river. So we're an on-road connection, this red line along Riverside Drive, and then we break off into two alternatives. One is jumping up onto that levee with a great view of the river, and one stays just inside the levee and continues north along Riverside Drive. Now, a couple issues here, right? Once we jump up onto the levee, we're only on the levee for a couple 100 feet. So a couple things we're weighing: permitting impacts, constructability impacts. We would have to, this levee continues, there's a floodgate here across Riverside Drive. So we would have to look at a bridge structure to cross Riverside Drive and stay on top of that levee. Are all of these things worth it or feasible for a couple 100 feet of trail? All things that had to be considered as part of the study. Now, before I continue to the north, I want to focus on the yellow line quickly. So instead of ducking behind and staying alongside Riverside Drive, one other alternative that we've looked at is to stay along Maple Street and continue up toward Franklin. And then there's an empty parcel here that looks like a great opportunity to tuck back into the woods. And for those of you that are familiar with this area, there's a steep slope behind these residential homes along Franklin Street and a variety of businesses here along Riverside Drive. And what we've looked at is staying along the toe of that slope and kind of hugging the backside of those properties and continuing north. Now, understanding that there would be some property impacts through this area, the city initiated some outreach to those property owners. They sent out letters and maps looking for feedback. The next step for this study is to go to a public information meeting, but we wanted to give property owners an opportunity to review this information, reach out to the mayor or Sheila and talk about any issues, any concerns that they had with these alignments before they heard about it in a public forum. And then of course we wanted to come and talk to you all about it as well before scheduling that public information meeting. So as part of that coordination, the city has gotten a little bit of feedback. I had a conversation with a representative from UI that owns the substation here yesterday. They were very supportive of the project. Overall, we've heard support at this point for this alignment specifically. So given that a little bit more time to see if we get any more feedback, but this is the alignment that has the most property impacts at this point. So we're looking at continuing north along those properties, along the toe of the slope, and this is where it opens up to the Burns construction operation. Sorry, I believe that's actually just north, but let me skip to the next. Here's Burns construction. So here's where the levee comes across Riverside Drive right here. So what we've looked at is that orange line that continued on road along Riverside Drive would go through the floodgate and then cut back along this row of arborvitaes at Burns construction and then duck into this same alignment, continuing along the toe of the slope. The red line was the one that was atop that levee, and that would also tie into the yellow line. And we've combined all of our alternatives into this yellow line for this short section here. Now, there's a real opportunity back through here because Burns's operation is limited on this back stretch of their property. There's a nice flat area at the toe of this slope. We're outside of the residential properties up on Franklin Street. And as we continue north here, steering clear of a lot of their operation, there's an existing maintenance road that this kind of switchback is actually an existing maintenance road that's mostly constructed already. So that's a real opportunity to catch a lot of this grade. This is real steep coming down towards Burns Construction. So we're showing two alternatives here. The green line, which kind of follows that alignment of a future connection that's on NVCOG's long-term plan for Riverside Drive, coming down from exit 19 on Route 8. So, right, we wanted to report on that at some point when that is constructed. There may be an opportunity to construct the trail alongside that roadway. But in the meantime, this is a real opportunity to, as I said, catch grade, make our way up that slope, and then of course work our way behind the Westwood Road properties and tie into Wakely Avenue right near Route 8. And this was what we were looking at as a logical termini because as you all know, the Nolan Field complex, there are a lot of users up there, and that felt like a great opportunity where there's parking to dump out the trail and maintain proximity to the Seymour municipal border. And it felt like a logical connection point. So at this point, we're writing our report. We're looking forward to presenting this information in front of the public and getting their feedback. We're weighing all of these alternatives. Obviously, cost is an important part of weighing those alternatives. We're looking at a variety of evaluation criteria, but we wanted to, with this meeting coming up, we wanted to share this with you all and see if you all had any feedback. And with that, Mark, I'm wondering if I missed anything. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, very good overview, and happy to take any questions from the committee.
I had one question, Josh. Back on that south of the Burns complex, where you were talking about the toe slope behind those houses. What's the view from there? You can see over the levee at the river from that area, or how's the grade?
There isn't much of a view there, Paul, because we've got some industrial operation and the levee along the river there. So there really isn't much of a view. Unfortunately, it feels like unless we jump up on top of the levee for this short stretch, we're going to lose a view of the river for a while there, unfortunately.
Okay, that was my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will add, though, that as you start to climb the hill on that existing switchback that Josh mentioned, you do start to gain a view of the river at that point.
Would the city be looking to purchase some of that land or just look for rights of way? How would they handle that?
Typically, that conversation is usually once a project is initiated for design. Of course, the city does not have funding right now for design or construction of these segments once a preferred alternative is identified. But as these projects have typically gone in Ansonia and most municipalities, if there's state or federal funding involved, then they have to follow all the standard right-of-way acquisition procedures. And that includes paying fair market value for any property or any easements over properties.
Does anybody else have any questions? Hearing none. Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate the opportunity to share this with you.
Thank you, Josh and Mark. That was excellent.
Thank you.
With that, I'm going to move back, if we can, to sharing our screen. hopefully we can then go to. Okay, so we will now move to the next item, which was raised by Judy in a recent email. They're looking obviously at the newly constructed segment of the trail in the south end of Waterbury and just identifying a protocol for emergency response. Other trails, in particular, the Farmington Canal Trail and trail through Ridgefield have utilized eighth of a mile indicators. That's the graphic that's shown here. And essentially, we wanted to raise the topic of how individual towns have been handling identification of specific locations along the Greenway for emergency response. If there are members of the committee that want to address that.
Well, I can just tell you in Derby, I think the easiest thing is that we just have markings every 10th of a mile. I know when they were building it, we had meetings with the police and fire and emergency, and there were all kinds of proposals for lighting and color coding and whatnot, but it seems that the every 10th of a mile makes it fairly easy.
Thank you. And hold on, I'm just gonna make sure I got the right screen up, Mark. Let's mention that. Okay. So let's see here. So is there anyone else on the committee that would be interested to, let's just hopefully do this correctly. Okay. Is this the full screen view?
No,
No.
still seeing you.
How's that?
Try again.
Still no. Oh, shoot. All right.
But just to continue along on the conversation with mile markers, and again, it's in our plan for signage and that we've done a couple of years ago, that it makes sense to install mile markers, to let people know where they are along the trail. Problem we have right now is we don't have sufficient section lengths to start putting those on, because where would you begin? Is mile 0 at the Derby end, and then but when we get to Waterbury, what's the mile markers? We don't have many sections in between. So until we have long sections of trail completed, it may be hard to come up with a mile marking system that makes sense. So it's something we can continue to sort of think about and look at, because again, long range, it makes a whole lot of sense to have mile markers. So people can identify where they are if they need to let somebody know, oh gee, I'm at mile marker 3.1, but until you have a point where that has a sort of a reference point to go along with it, it may be difficult to install.
Does anyone else want to address that issue? Okay, then I guess we can move on to the next element of the presentation, which would be project updates. Great news. We have just learned yesterday that a segment of the Waterbury downtown Greenway will be funded through the RAISE program. There's a total of $23 million for that project. that will be given to the city of Waterbury, granted to the city of Waterbury. Obviously, in addition, Mark, I understand you have some updates for the other items that are in this agenda item.
Not a lot. I mean, the raise was the big one, because that will fund the extension from Eagle Street up to West Main Street through downtown. And if everyone remembers, that is kind of a complex, difficult section because of the land use it does go through. So yeah, everybody's pretty excited about that. But the other item is that the state did include in the bond package that was recently considered, I think it was last week or the week before, $9 million for the state rec trails program. And we're not quite sure when the solicitation will take place. It might be later in the fall, but the understanding we did get was that they're going to consider a number of the projects that weren't funded in the last round, but were considered high priority or high value types of projects. And Paul, good news for Watertown is that the project to do the design for the section, from Branch Brook down to Frost Bridge Road, was considered, a high priority and had high points awarded to it, but didn't get the funding. So we're hopeful that that actually will be funded this time around. So we'll keep an eye on it. And for others, just start thinking about if there's any rec trail project needs, and let's be ready for, when the solicitation comes out, probably, later in the fall.
That'd be great, Mark, if we could get some of that money. Otherwise, I'll just send a PO to Waterbury for part of that 24 million. So how do I do that? No, I'm just kidding. So half kidding. So
yeah, I'll tell you, it was a good application and a good project. It really involved the efforts between the city of Waterbury, the Waterbury Development Corporation, and NVCOG. A lot of people worked on it to pull it together. And then just getting the support from our federal legislation, Congress and senators was really the key, because they got on board, and really were pushing for the project. We were kind of hopeful that, the way these raise grants go, I didn't expect, I should say, the full amount. Usually they say, oh, this is a great project, but we're only going to give you, half the money. But this was almost fully funded. We had asked for 24 million and got 23.1. So not quite sure what they sort of took out, but it's this, a very exciting project. As I told, the easy part was putting in the application. The hard part's now going to be delivering on the project. So there's going to be a lot of work on the next couple of 3, 4, or 5 years to get this thing built and open, but very exciting. And I just wanted to give a quick update on the Transportation Alternatives program through the USDOT. As expected, with the new infrastructure bill, a lot more money was allocated to these types of projects. So we're looking at figuring out how to, take advantage of some of the money that has become available. And we're working with DOT on, getting some of the projects moving. Again, the problem we have in the Waterbury area is that we're considered a small urban area. So we have less control over what projects do get built, but we're going to continue to push for those projects. And we're working with the Capital Region Council of Governments on possibly, as part of our region is actually in the Hartford area. So we're looking at possibility of allocating some of the TA money to sections in Thomaston. So something we're working on, and we'll keep you posted. And I can answer any other questions about possible funding for sections.
So actually, we've now transitioned into the sixth item on the agenda, which I think there are some further developments in terms of congressionally directed spending that we wanted to highlight. A number of applications have not yet been approved, but Oxford Main Street, a portion of that has been funded. It's not directly on the Naugatuck Trail, but we wanted to make you aware of that. In addition, there are deep recreational trails grants and the DECD Community Challenge Grant. If any of the municipal partners wants to apply for those programs or has a current application under development and would like some assistance, definitely let Aaron or any of our other staff, Rich, know about that. And if obviously we'd be happy to help with maps or other features of the application. Are there any questions relating to funding submissions and opportunities? Okay, with that, we will move on to the, yes.
Sorry, this is Kim Bradley from DEEP. So Aaron
Sure.
had reached out and asked that I give an update concerning rec trails grants. So
Awesome.
if this is the appropriate time, let me
Definitely.
know. Okay, and I apologize. I do not have a video camera on the computer I'm using today, so I apologize. I'm not on video. Just so everyone knows, my name's Kim Bradley. I just started in the position of the DEEP Connecticut Trails and Greenways Coordinator. That started the middle of July. So I am taking the place of Lori Giannotti. We are lucky enough that Lori is actually working part-time to help us get up to speed with the current contracting on the grants process and help with our transition. So I know that there has been good word that the Rec Trails program will be receiving $9 million of funding. I wanted to give an update that at this time, the Greenways Council and the DEP team are meeting to review the fact that there were highly ranked projects that had unmet need within our 2021 round. And we are also reviewing how the applications are scored. So that will take a bit of time to make the final decisions on how these funds will be allocated and in what manner. However, we do anticipate a late fall round of Rec Trails grants. So we anticipate that those will be opening. Stay tuned for more information from DEEP on whether there will be any, slight revisions to our application overall. So I do encourage you to reach out if you have any questions. Feel free to contact me at DEEP, kimberly.bradley@ct.gov. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have, but there is quite a bit of funding coming our way. This is kind of record-breaking for the program, so we're very excited for the opportunities that are ahead. Thanks.
Hey,
Thank you.
Kim, I have a quick question for you, not about funding, but about the counts on the Greenway. Will any data be released for the second quarter?
So you can reach out. Aaron Budrus actually will have some information on that as well. And you can reach out to Emily Wilson at Yukon Extension. Right now, the Connecticut Trails program at Yukon is actually waiting on some additional funds that are coming through the Rec Trails grant program. So once those funds are in place, that contract is all set. They will be rehiring for my position, so the program will kind of get back up to speed. We did do downloads in the beginning of July. That was kind of my last effort for Yukon, and those are in the traffic database. So, so everyone knows the interactive portal, which is a part of the Connecticut Trail Census project, will be getting updated within the next round of funding and likely transition to more of an ESRI base application. So at this time, if you want count data information, you'll have to get the download from Traffics, and the Yukon team can help you with that. I just, again, encourage everyone to have a little bit of patience, because with my transition, they are kind of down on staff and are waiting for these grant funds to kind of get everything back up to speed. So hopefully that answers your question, Zach.
Yes, it did.
Are there other questions?
I do have another question. I want to go back to the project updates. I have a question for Mark. You know, you have near the Derby Shelton Bridge and the Derby Route 34. Mark, at the corner there of Route 34 and the Derby Shelton Bridge, they moved an incredible amount of ground and built that up. But I have a question. How is that going to affect the entrance to the trail there? Is that going to continue exactly as it is? Because there's like a big wall there.
Now, the plans and are that there'll be a new seamless connection between the bike cycle track on the bridge and the walkway on the bridge to the Derby Greenway. So right now so that will be rebuilt, and there should be, if I remember correctly in the plans, because the parking area that used to be there, people could pull in down there and park, that's being taken away, and a new parking area is being built right along 34. That's going to be taken away. So there's supposed to be I don't want to call it a gateway park, but a little bit of a landscaped area that will sort of denote the entrance into the city. So it should be a seamless connection. Yes, yeah, there won't be any break in between getting from the bridge to the Greenway.
Will they be raising the Greenway there to the same level as the parking lot, or?
No. The issue there was because of the flood wall is a concrete wall there.
Right.
There was always concern about whether the Army Corps wanted material pushed up against that wall, whether that wall would support that. So unfortunately, it's still going to have that little bit of a dip and then rise.
Hopefully they can do some landscaping too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be all landscape. I haven't looked at the plans, detailed plans, but I can dig them out and give you send you what it's supposed to look like.
Okay.
But yeah, we had, I mean, that's a key connection point between the two projects. And so there was a lot of coordination between the two engineering firms, AECOM and Luke's, on how they were going to manage that transition from one project to another. And again, the 34 projects is a 2.5 year project. So there's probably going to be some, unsettledness in that area for a little while.
Other questions relating to either project updates or future grants and funding opportunities? Okay, so with that, we will move on to our public outreach program. So essentially, NVCOG has been busy. Our staff have been attending a number of events and will be attending a number of events, in particular with outreach connected to our Metropolitan Transportation Plan update. Obviously, a significant element of that plan and one that I think we want to enhance from previous submissions relates to alternative transportation, active transportation. So we have a survey. It's available through our website. If anyone wants to help us, direct some traffic, any of your residents are more than welcome to participate and share their thoughts. Obviously, you are as well, to add to the views relating to additional alternative transportation. It's a 25-year essentially time horizon, so leaves lots of chance to add new investments and to basically forward the program of the trailway and have the Metropolitan Transportation Plan support that. Keep an eye out. We are also planning to have staff attend the Bristol Mum Festival and the Bethlehem Garlic Festival in mid-fall in October. So we're going to have, like you see here, our staff are going to have a table with a map as well as survey forms for folks to fill out. And I believe in the chat is the address. If folks want to go and take a look at the survey and fill it out, that'd be awesome. Rich, do you want to add a word or two about the overall outreach program?
Sure. Yeah, we're trying to be pretty aggressive this year with outreach, and especially with a focus on safety, and then even more specifically a focus on non-motorized user safety. So our goal is to get as many responses as we possibly can. Ideally, we'd like to hit 800. We are working pretty closely with the Connecticut Metropolitan COG on this one too. And so it's all 26 towns between NVCOG and them. And yeah, no, we would appreciate any distribution of this, or of course, all of you taking it as well.
Any questions regarding outreach, or anybody who wants to share any type of outreach meetings that they're conducting? Okay, I believe we're coming to the close of the agenda with the grand finale, because we have just at this moment, we're pursuing grant funding to make a substantial change to fish passage and to wildlife restoration at the Kinneytown Dam. In addition, that project provides additional opportunity to enhance the Greenway within that area. And obviously, we've also got a big conference coming up, which I hope, at this point, everyone is aware of. You can still register. It is a regional Envision conference that's scheduled for September 13th, beginning at 8:30 in the morning and continuing through 2. So it is a nice opportunity to find out about all kinds of things happening in the region, both on the transportation side and the environmental side, as well as to share your point of view with everyone that's there. It's going to be located at the Palace Theater. Again, as with so many things, there's additional information available on our website. And we are expecting to have a table for Naugatuck Greenway at the event. So if anyone would like to participate as a volunteer to staff the table and promote the Greenway at that event, that would be awesome. Just get in touch with Rich Donovan or Christine O'Neill on our staff, or Aaron if you prefer, and let them know that that's something you'd be available to do. Any questions relating to other business or news? Anybody that has some further development in their own towns?
Hey, just Josh, can you repost that link? Because I can't get that link to work.
For the survey? Sure. Rich, you want to just re-chat the link? If you also look at the transportation page for our website, there's the link in the chat. The other option is to just go to the transportation page in our website. I actually think it's on the home landing page as well. So that would be nvcogct.gov. And once you're there, I think, Rich, is it true that the survey shows up on the front page? I think it does.
Well,
in any
the
case,
link you just posted does work, goes directly there.
great. And as I said, anybody that has the time to participate and can share their point of view or ask of their constituents and participants as well. It's the more voices we hear from, the better. So think that's basically our last item of business. If anybody wants to share or contribute anything else or identify some items for future meetings, that would be wonderful. And with that, I think we're gonna bring our meeting to a close. Unless there's any other business that folks want to share. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Go ahead, Jack.
I just made the motion to adjourn.
Second, Paul Benevich.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Anyone opposed or abstaining on this one? Seeing none, the motion carries and we are in adjournment until November 9th, which is the next scheduled meeting date. Thank you all very much for your time, and I will hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you. Have a good
Sure.
day.
Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.